All right, let's just jump right in. The word narcissist, you've heard it everywhere, right? It's kind of become this catch-all buzzword for anyone who seems, a little too full of themselves.
We slap that label on the person who's always posting selfies, or maybe that coworker who just really, really loves to hear themselves talk. It's basically become our go-to for just plain old vanity.
But here's the thing. Behind that casual word we throw around, there's a clinical reality that is so much darker. We're not just talking about a personality quirk here. This is about a destructive pattern, a cycle of psychological abuse and control that leaves devastating, real trauma.
So in the next few minutes, we're going to cut through all that pop culture noise. We're going to look at the real-world impact, we'll uncover the 2 hidden faces of narcissism, we'll map out the predictable 4-stage cycle of abuse, and this is the most important part, we're going to arm you with some real, actionable strategies to protect yourself.
Okay, let's get into the data. Because the damage we're talking about, well, it's not just a feeling, it's backed by some pretty shocking research.
And check this out. A Harvard study found something absolutely wild. It found that a partner's grandiose narcissism was the #1 predictor of PTSD symptoms in their ex-partners. Think about that for a second. The largest predictor, that's how serious this is.
Now, it's really important to get this straight. Even though the impact is huge, actual diagnosable narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, is pretty rare. We're talking somewhere between 0.5% and 5% of the population. But here's the key. Narcissistic traits exist on a spectrum. You don't need a full-blown diagnosis for these toxic behaviors to show up and cause real harm.
So what does this actually look like in a person? Well, it's not one size fits all. In fact, narcissism can show up in 2 totally different, almost opposite ways. And you can see the split right here. You've got the grandiose type, that's the loud, obvious one we all picture. But then there's the vulnerable or covert type, and these guys are way trickier to spot because they hide that same sense of entitlement behind this facade of being a victim or being super sensitive.
Yeah, the grandiose narcissist, that's the classic picture, right? They're the ones who are openly arrogant, totally believe they're better than everyone else, and they just have to be the center of attention. They walk into a room and just take it over.
But then you have the vulnerable narcissist, and this is where it gets dangerous. That same grandiosity is there, but it's hidden, it's masked. They might seem shy or even put themselves down, but it's a trap. They use that hypersensitivity, that whole nobody understands me thing, as a way to manipulate and control you. It's a much quieter, more passive-aggressive kind of damage.
But no matter which type you're dealing with, the relationships almost always follow this toxic, predictable, repeating pattern. And really, seeing the cycle is the absolute first step to getting out of it.
First up is idealization. This is the soulmate phase. It's perfect. But then, out of nowhere, it flips to devaluation. Suddenly, you can't do anything right. You're constantly criticized. After that comes the discard. They just drop you, cold. And right when you think you're starting to get over it, bam, they start hoovering, trying to suck you right back in.
In that first stage, idealization, there's a name for it. Love bombing. Look, this isn't real love. It's a fire hose of affection and compliments with only one goal, to get you hooked and make you dependent on them, right from the start. So you're probably wondering, how? How can a person be so incredibly wonderful one minute and so cruel the next? Well, the answer gets into some really fascinating and honestly pretty disturbing science.
Most of us just assume, oh, they have no empathy. Simple as that. But the truth is, it's way more complicated and way more sinister.
Okay, so get this. Scientists break empathy down into 2 types. There's affective empathy. That's where you actually feel what someone else is feeling. And yeah, narcissists are basically running on empty there. But then there's cognitive empathy. That's the ability to know what another person is thinking or feeling, to understand their motivations. And that part, it's often perfectly intact.
And that is the chilling part. They don't lack the ability to understand you. They weaponize it. It's like a superpower without a conscience. They can see your buttons. They know your fears. They know exactly what makes you tick. But since they don't feel the pain they're causing, they use all that information as a tool for manipulation.
Okay, so understanding all this is a huge step. But knowledge isn't enough, right? We need action. So let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself and take your power back.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with Number 1, stop letting them define you. You decide who you are. Number 2,
Start making decisions for your good, not theirs. Number 3, if they give you the silent treatment, walk away. Just disengage. You can't reason with a brick wall. And finally, get back in touch with your life, your goals, the stuff that you care about.
There's actually a really powerful technique for this called the gray rock method, and it's exactly what it sounds like. When you have to deal with them, you make yourself as boring and uninteresting as a plain old gray rock.
And why does this work so well? Because narcissists feed on drama. Your reaction, whether it's anger or sadness, that's their fuel. When you give them absolutely nothing, no arguments, no emotion, just boring, one-word answers, you literally starve them of their supply. It completely short-circuits their game.
So, let's just bring this all home. This was never, ever about a big ego. It was never about someone taking too many selfies. Narcissistic abuse is a deliberate, destructive cycle. It's designed to make you smaller, to make you doubt yourself, and that pain you might feel, it is absolutely real. The science proves it. Look, just being able to see these patterns, that's the first and most powerful step you can take. The cycle, the manipulation, that twisted use of empathy, it all starts to lose its power once you can name it. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you can see the playbook, what are you going to do to protect your peace?